Hey, Tourpreneurs, it's Mitch Bach, and just a quick note before we begin today's episode. Tourpreneur is currently sponsored by Google. We're thankful for their support of our community, and we are offering with them a completely free course helping you unlock the power and potential of Google's Things to Do program, which is specifically helping tour operators add their tours to Google in new ways that gives you new exposure and more direct bookings. To learn more, go to tourpreneur.com/Google. And as always, show notes, more resources, links to our newsletter, our business coaching community, and so much more are available on tourpreneur.com. Now to the episode.
Today's episode is brought to you by Checkfront, the booking platform trusted by over 5,000 tour and activity operators around the world. You can start your own free 21-day trial over at checkfront.com.
Welcome to the Tourpreneur Podcast. Travel industry veteran Shane Whaley will take you on a journey with fellow tourpreneurs, sharing their tips, ideas, insights, and success stories to inspire you to make your tour business the best it can be. And now, here is your host, Shane Whaley.
Hello and welcome to episode 79 of the Tourpreneur Podcast. Thank you for joining for this installment of what I learned this week. So I've had enough. Not a week goes by when I don't receive an email from a listener who paid for a service, a product, a tool, an app, or a course that just didn't deliver. Now, even when we're doing well, our resources are scarce. But during these COVID lockdown times, none of us are making any money, let's be honest. So none of us can afford to be taken for a ride. So today I'm asking you to help me create the Tourpreneur Approved Directory. This will be a free online directory of services, products, tools, apps, anything, any kind of resource that we need to build and grow our tour and activity business. The difference with this directory is that it'll be totally independent, and it is services and products recommended by tour operators for tour operators. And my idea is that each listing will be accompanied by a genuine testimonial from a tour operator or several. And that tour operator has to be open to being contacted by a fellow tour operator about that service, product provider, or tool. So I'll give you an example. Just a couple of days ago, our friend in Reykjavik, Valer asked on our Facebook group, which you can join, by the way, at tourpreneur.com/Facebook. He was looking for a copywriter. He felt now's a good time to update the copy for his tours. And he was saying, he asked the group, can anybody recommend a copywriter? Now, if I actually do a search in Google, let's see, copywriter, I get just under 55 million results. What about if I put copywriter for tour operators? Almost 4 million, results. So there's a lot. This is a minefield, quite frankly. How cool would it be if Valer, sorry to pick on you, Valer, but I think this is a great example of what I'm trying to do. If we had this directory and there were several copywriters listed, and you could reach out to, say, Sarah at Main Food Tours and say, hey, I saw that you worked with Rachel Smith, copywriter, just made that up. How did you get on? And have a conversation. What was communication like? What were the rates like? Can I see some examples of the work? And then Valer knows that he's going to be hiring someone who's proved themselves already. Because I talk about this a lot on the podcast, that there are a lot of empty suit gurus out there that will just take your money, not deliver. I'm seeing this more and more during COVID times, these jackals coming in, spotting an opportunity to make money while we're all struggling. So I think that this Tourpreneur approved directory is really needed. Also, with the directory, the success of it does depend on you. because I want to make this an independent directory, but it will depend on you sending in, hey, I worked with this copywriter, she's great. I worked with this graphic designer, brilliant. So I'm going to be coming to you, tourpreneurs, and asking for your submissions and your suggestions. Now, what I will make very, very clear, this is not a funnel, because there's way too many funnels out there right now. And if you don't know what a funnel is, look at your inbox. You probably signed up for a PDF or a course, and you suddenly get a flurry of email because the provider have got your email address. I don't want that. I want this resource to live on the Tourpreneur website. Not even going to ask you for your email address. This is no PDF download. You come on the site, you go to the directory, you look for, say, copywriter, and the information will be there. I think this is a much needed resource for our industry. I think it will really help us buy, book, or reserve with confidence. Just recently, I had a nasty experience on Upwork. It used to be called Elance. I am finally updating my Tourpreneur Daily Brief. It hasn't been changed in 18 months. The design is pretty poor because I built it. And as I've joked on the show many times, I'm no graphic designer. But I thought, you know what? I should spend a bit of money and get this updated, make it a little easier on the eye. And I hired someone. Total disaster. Communications were poor. She wasn't listening to the remit of what I was trying to achieve. And she actually was not very good with MailChimp. I had quite a fight to get the money back, and it was a considerable amount of cash, right? The second person I've hired has done a phenomenal job. Communications top notch. She's even recorded video walkthroughs for me because, I was asking some questions around the template, and she recorded videos talking me through it. So outstanding. And I have absolutely no hesitation to recommend this person if you're looking to, improve or build or create a MailChimp template. So this depends on you. Please do send me in anyone you've worked with that's helped your business. And as long as you're prepared to receive an email from a fellow tourpreneur who might ask you about that service provider or that product, please do email me on tourpreneurshow@gmail.com. All right. I was pleased to report that over 160 tour operators on our group loved this idea. So I'm encouraged by that. Help me build it. So this week on Tourpreneur, Jessica Hammer, Taste of Toulouse, came on to share with us why she felt pressure to build and create a virtual tour for her business. But then she asked herself 7 questions, reflected on those answers, and decided that virtual tours were not for her. And Rob Patingolo, DC Trip Hacks, he wrote an excellent blog post over at Medium, and I'll add it to the show notes, talking about why he's not such a fan of virtual tours. And I'm seeing virtual tours as the next best thing. There's a rush to create them. And it does worry me somewhat. First of all, I'm kind of sick and tired now of all these webinars talking about virtual tours because no one's really giving any data. And the ones who probably will give data, such as Walks, for instance, well, they're operational in 13 cities. They have quite the machine behind them. That's very different from Walking Tour of Burlington, Vermont, okay? And I worry that as tour operators, as tourpreneurs, we buy a course or we build a virtual tour, throw money at it, hours learning this, creating things, and they fall flat. Now, if you have your digital fundamentals in place, if you've gone through an SEO audit on your site, if your copy is in good shape, if your photos are looking good, if your booking flow is seamless, if you have a Facebook page where you actually post to it and don't leave it dormant, are you on Instagram? Are you learning Facebook ads? Because local FB ads are going to be so important post-COVID. Are you using Google My Business? And if you've answered no to any of those, then I beg you, work on those first. Get your digital foundations right. Then, if you have all of that right and you have time, maybe it is the right time for you to build a virtual tour or an online experience. But really have an audit. We all make this mistake. We all go for that shiny object, especially when we see so many of our peers doing this. I would urge you really to make sure you've got your fundamentals in play before you do that. And also, it's becoming very competitive with so many people entering the virtual tour space. Coming up this week on the show, I interview travel industry veteran John Peel. John has set up a company which will issue certification on hygiene and cleanliness standards for tours, activities, and attractions. I'm curious to know what exactly that entails. What do they do? What do you need to do to meet that certification? And how will the public respond to a privately issued certification rather than one issued by government agencies? So I've got that coming up this week. We've got 7 operators that are going to give us a COVID check-in. Don't worry, I'm not going to air all of those this week. We'll air probably 2 a week so we can keep the content fresh because things are changing so quickly. Thank you very much for listening to Tourpreneur. I hope you have a healthy, safe week, and I'll catch you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Tourpreneur podcast. Be sure to visit tourpreneur.com to join the conversation and access the show notes, including links to the resources mentioned on today's episode. This is Tourpreneur.